This is Weightless, a song by Marconi Union, who worked with sound therapists during production to make it the world's most scientifically relaxing song. Dr. David Lewis Hodgson of MindLab International says that the song produced a greater state of relaxation than any other music tested to date, with listeners experiencing up to a 65% reduction in anxiety levels. And this is a collection of the world's most annoying sounds, rated by participants in a 2012 study conducted by neuroscientists using an MRI machine. Noises were played, one after another, while researchers recorded the activity in the subject's brain. They found that sounds played in the 2,000 to 5,000 Hz range directly stimulated the brain's amygdala, the region responsible for emotional response, with sounds such as metal on glass, chalk on a chalkboard, and a female scream eliciting the most intense reactions. Beyond single sounds, overlapping noise can also have a negative effect on one's mood. Many sounds played at once can be overwhelming to a listener, and must work extra hard to separate them into understandable pieces. Sound, as it seems, can have major effects on our state of mind. And this makes sense. As humans, we're hardwired to respond to external stimuli, whether it's the feeling of stubbing your toe or seeing a beautiful painting. So it may seem counterintuitive that we tend to disregard sound as an important factor in our mental state. And this is the subject of today's episode, where we'll be exploring different ways that audio may have an effect on our daily lives. Perhaps the most famous example of an auditory effect is the so-called brown note, a rumored infrasonic frequency said to make listeners lose control of their bowels upon hearing it. The effect is said to take place due to the high intensity and specific frequency of the note, which is so low that it can produce a tangible physical movement in its environment. Working by the same principle, the orgasm note could be considered the brown note's lesser-known sibling. This is, of course, not the real orgasm note. The real note, said to be able to spontaneously induce orgasm in women, is played on an instrument called the blaster beam, which can produce infrasonic sounds due to its extreme length. The note itself is described as a very, very low E, but don't go to your local guitar center yet. If you want to try experiencing the blaster beam's effects, you'll need to track down its creator, Craig Huxley, who owns the only copy of it in the world. While we're talking about low-frequency noises, I would be remiss not to mention the ghost frequency. The infamous note is said to resonate with the lens in the human eye, producing vivid visual hallucinations and an overall sense of unease. Because it can't be heard with our human ears, naturally occurring ghost frequencies are theorized to be the cause of many ghostly sightings, though this is only a theory. In a similar category, noise can be just as scary when the volume is increased rather than decreased. Loud noises, such as an explosion or a beastly roar, is an indicator of a very big thing, and we've evolved to associate that noise with fear. Internet screamers and movie jump scares take advantage of this to elicit a cheap emotional response. But I wouldn't do that to you. Sometimes, it seems, a lack of sound can be just as unnerving as a loud one. Back to comforting sounds. Binaural beats and white noise have been shown to increase productivity in listeners, similar to the way fidgeting with your hands may help you concentrate on a task. Your ears are given a meaningless task, reducing restlessness and improving your state of mind without the distractions of conventional music. But this isn't to say that music doesn't have its own benefits. At the movies, we can clearly see a tie between music and emotion. A good soundtrack alone can turn a mundane scene into a real heart-wrencher. But my favorite use of music has to be in the treatment of Alzheimer's patients. When exposed to their favorite music, people experiencing Alzheimer's disease have been observed to regain speech and memory functions. Though we're not totally sure why it works, scientists have theorized that the part of the brain responsible for musical memory remains untouched by the disease, giving patients an alternative path to cognizance, if only temporarily. And now, for the final and my favorite observation. As it turns out, there is another common way to elicit negative emotional response from a listener, one that's become more common as we've seen an increase in media with the World Wide Web. Cutting something short, or ending something before